Let's dive into a very interesting chapter of the book How Real Business Starts by Shahram Taragi to find out the biggest mistake many people make when starting their business. Chapter 3. The True Meaning of Business. Identifying the Market. In every business, identifying the market is one of the key factors. However, how you identify the market is even more important. Many times, when someone starts a business, they fail to consider the surrounding factors and conditions and simply focus on launching the business they have in mind. Often, the only criterion they consider is making money. You should know that making money in business comes because of success, not as the starting point. True success is achieved when your goal is not merely to make money, but to establish deep roots in your business. There are 5 essential points to successfully running a business. 1. Is your business temporary, or are you planning for the future? If your business is temporary, then you should follow the plans you have personally designed. For example, if there is a concert next week and you plan to run a wholesale stand for 2 or 3 days at that venue, or under slightly stronger or weaker surrounding conditions, this counts as a temporary business. However, if your business is intended for the long term, your personal strategies may no longer be effective. You need to shift your mindset. In a temporary business, forward-looking thoughts about the future won't help you. Only need to focus on the income of that day or evening. In a temporary business, speed is crucial because your revenue lifespan is very short. You must use methods that minimize wasted time. For instance, if you have 1 week for preparation, you should make a detailed plan for just 3 days. In contrast, for a long-term business spanning 30 years, an initial plan may take 2 weeks to a month. As you can see, the scale and scope are very different. Do you know why? Because you want to maximize the commercial lifespan even if temporary, and this requires careful planning. In a temporary business, you simply don't have enough time to take multiple risks, so meticulous planning is essential. 2. How much time have you devoted to establishing your business roots? Determine how much time you are willing to dedicate to establishing your business, or, as the text metaphorically puts it, the rooting period. Assess your operational capacity and the preparatory work done before launching your business. Check whether your resources are available. These include mental tools, your human resources; physical tools, such as decor, products, sources of business information, and even capital, which are generally considered separate from human resources. Trial and error methods are essential for a planned business, but they are also costly. This is a reality that must be accepted. The rooting period of your business is like a mother's pregnancy. It requires patience, proper nourishment, and continuous care. Your planning and strategic thinking are the food that sustains your business during this critical stage. Avoid reaching a state of mental death by neglecting proper planning. If your plan is progressing well, make sure to use a 2-stage planning method. 1. Focus on the present. Concentrate on current tasks and execution. 2. Look to the future. Keep an eye on your long-term business vision. You must dedicate enough time to your business. If progress is slow, invest even more time in research and strengthening the foundational principles. Rest assured, if you're planning the food of the rooting period is proper and sufficient, your business will be born healthy and robust. 3. What is your financial backing during your foundational phase? Have you assessed your financial capacity for advertising, salaries, rent, or other ongoing expenses before your income begins? You need to understand that without financial strength, no real progress can be made. One major mistake that leads to failure is structuring a business based on projected future income. You must adopt the mindset that any earnings from your work during the foundational phase belong to the business itself, not your personal pocket. Even if you do generate some income during this period, it should be saved and stored as a self-sustaining reserve. With this approach, your business will remain healthy throughout its foundational phase, and you'll witness how the first signs of growth begin to emerge. If you continue with me, we will delve deeper into this topic and guide you toward building a successful business. 4. Have you measured your tolerance? Many people, when starting a business, become so absorbed in their own thoughts that they forget to consider the hardships involved. Once they launch their business, they gradually realize how intolerable the work process can be. At that point, they often continue solely because of the high costs they have invested in starting their business and out of sheer necessity. But this only wastes time, as eventually they will have to shut things down. Therefore, pay attention to this. Each person's tolerance is shaped by their mindset and mental approach. Some individuals cannot handle a job that requires early mornings, while others can. Some cannot sustain full-day work from morning to night, but others can. Here lies a crucial key. Ask yourself, is my tolerance suited for this business? If your job has a natural limit to the hours you can work effectively, it is better to respect that limit rather than face clients while exhausted. Plan as much as possible according to the energy, mood, and fatigue levels of yourself and your team. In my research, I discovered that businesses that push employees into overtime without assessing their tolerance ultimately fail. This is an important insight. It can serve both as a warning for your business and as a key area for growth. 5. How passionate are you about your job? Never forget, your job is like your child. You are the one who brought it into existence, and you must take good care of it. When you approach it with enthusiasm and passion, it also increases your tolerance. In any endeavor, 3 processes must be considered. First, ability. Second, interest. And third, insight and foresight. Understanding the social context of your job. What is the nature of the job you are considering? How dense is your potential customer base relative to the productivity of your business? For selecting the right job, rely on rational thinking and never let emotions dictate your choice. Surveys. Surveys are one of the key factors in choosing the right type of job, but only if they possess the proper characteristics. I have identified 4 essential features of a survey for job selection. Many people assume that surveys should always yield positive results. This is not true. Surveys should be appropriate to generate accurate responses. Feature 1. 0.5% of potential customer density over a year in the target area. For example, if you plan to open a handbag store on Street Nor, base your survey on population density and the likelihood of customers visiting your store over the course of a year. Suppose 40 people visit your store daily for 26 active days in a month. That totals 1,024 people, and over a year, roughly 12,000. You would need to survey 0.5% of them, about 50 to 60 people, to take the first steps toward your business goals. Feature 2. Depending on your business type, consider gender distribution. In the previous example, a handbag store's customers are primarily women, with men accompanying them only occasionally. Therefore, based on location, 70% of your survey respondents should be women and 30% men. This ensures your survey is stronger and yields more reliable results. Feature 3. Accept that much or even most of your investment might go into your business, and recovering it later for a change of mind may be difficult. Approach the survey with humility and neutrality. Ask unbiased questions rather than questions designed to elicit positive responses. For example, do not ask, "I want to open a handbag store. Do you think it's good?" Or, "I want to open a handbag store. Do you think I won't fail?" Such questions undermine the respondent's thinking and shape responses based on your framing. Instead, ask, "What do you think about a stylish handbag store on Street Nor?" Or, Which would do better on Street Nor, a shoe store or a clothing store? At this stage, ensure your questions generate informative answers. Try to expand your own general knowledge through the responses you gather. Feature 4. Remain completely impartial in your survey. Do not be swayed by any opinions. If some people give negative feedback, do not get discouraged. If others give positive feedback, do not get overly hopeful. Listen as a neutral observer. The best way to avoid bias is to record the information. Remember, as mentioned earlier, that you are investing much of your capital, so never let positive or negative opinions emotionally influence your judgment. Do not consider a positive response as motivation to act, nor a negative one as a reason to give up. Continue your survey until the planned final stage. Now it's time to review and summarize the gathered information. Keep in mind, a survey is different from consultation. In a survey, you only observe opinions. In consultation, you discuss collected opinions with experts. Ultimately, the main decision is yours. Gather the collective insights, but make the final choice yourself. Later in this book, you will see how using your own decisions leads to more purposeful outcomes. Understanding the private context of your job. Your personal and private circumstances are one of the key factors in starting your business. In the survey stage, you gathered information about the social context of your job data that is publicly accessible and can be analyzed. However, your private circumstances can have a significant impact on your business choices. These private factors are not publicly accessible, but they can serve as a form of personal advantage, highlighting situations that set you apart from others. For example, suppose you intend to open a shoe store, and one reason for this is that you have a contact at a shoe manufacturing plant or hold an official dealership from a reputable shoe company. These private connections can create opportunities that would otherwise be unavailable. In general, private circumstances are considered a non-monetary but important asset. Sometimes, they can offset many negative factors in your business environment, so don't overlook them in consultations. By this stage, you should have a preliminary understanding of your business situation. Be sure to take notes of important points in your notebook for timely reference. We assume that you may have completed the previous steps under any conditions, but now we want to examine the scope of sales a stage that itself is divided into further steps. Sales at this stage is divided into two types: classic sales and logical sales. It is important to understand that knowing these two sales methods can completely transform your business. Many business owners or managers do not fully understand this distinction, or if they do, they often lack sufficient knowledge on how to handle it. In classic sales, logical methods can also be applied and are very useful. However, if classic methods are applied in logical sales, the foundation of the business may be undermined. Logical sales are delicate and sensitive, and mastering them requires some practice. Here, we will break down the classifications of these two types of sales. All right, now it's time to dive into classic sales and logical sales. In our next podcast, we'll be opening up an even more fascinating perspective on sales and success in your business.